Hi everyone. In this video we're going to be going over Activity 10-1 using Resource Monitor. This is from the MCTS Guide to Microsoft Windows 7 in my edition of the book. This activity starts on page 469. To begin, we want to open our Performance Monitor. I'm going to show you two ways to get to it. The fastest, I think, is just to use your search bar for Performance, and it'll be the first option that comes up here. And then we'll use Open Resource Monitor to actually launch it. The other way is that you can get there through your control panel by going View by Category, go to System and Security, and at the bottom, Administrative Tools. And there's our Performance Monitor there. So two routes get us to the same objective here. Once we're here, I'm going to go ahead and tell it to start monitoring. It may take a few seconds to load current usage stats. And once it does, we can take a look at the graphical representation of my CPU usage, and we can go over, we'll look through the memory, the hard disk, and the network usage. Once it actually starts showing us. And it's having some trouble starting, it looks like. There we go. So now that we've started, let's go ahead and shrink that a little bit. So this will show us all of our processes that are currently in use, as well as how many threads they've sent to the processor, and the PID, or the process ID, which should be unique to each process. It's a little bit of how Windows 7 controls how processes access certain parts of your drive and your information. So that's used a lot to kind of keep rein on spyware or malware, keep it from doing things that it shouldn't, really. It basically prevents processes from accessing your system as an administrator. So this kind of ties into that. Anywhere in here, you can always, if you want to sort, you can just click up on the header section for each column to sort it by process ID, or by its independent name, or by the description. So you can always sort these, or sort them in reverse, so Z to A instead of A to Z. And again, there's our graphical representations over here. Total usage based on a percentage. And so this one's actually broken down. Each core has its own graph here. Alright, and then we can always come over to memory, and so this shows us our RAM usage, as well as, what processes are using the most RAM at any given time. And again, this is also organizable, if that's a word. We're going to go with it. And so instead of just the raw numerical data, you kind of have a little bit of a graph shown here of what's in use, what's available, what's not being used at all. And so this will fluctuate depending on what kind of applications you're running. But it gives you another idea of how tasked your computer is. Obviously, the more RAM you have, the better. The more available RAM you have, the better. So if you're utilizing all of your RAM, if you have a lot of green, then you may want to consider upgrading your RAM. Under our disk section, doesn't look like we're really going to be getting anything. I don't have much that's actually reading or writing to my disk right now, so it's not seeing a whole lot of use currently. You can come down and look at your storage, and so this shows total space and available space, so you can kind of see how much space you've used and how much you still have left on that hard drive. This isn't a great view for it, because it's just the raw numerical data. I think that just going to my computer shows you a better view, a little bit more graphical, so you can see how much free space you have. But it is here if you ever want the raw numerical data. And then the last tab up here is the network tab. And again, I don't have a whole lot going on with my network right now, but you can see what's listening and waiting for information to come in. And you can check your TCP connections and your network activity. I'm going to go ahead and launch a web browser, and we'll see if we can get some activity to pop up over here. You're not seeing the web browser because it's over on my secondary monitor, but I'm just going to browse out to like Pandora. And we should start seeing a little bit in here. And it's not really registering it. You can see on my desktop where I have a network monitor that it picked up when I opened Pandora. But in any case, it doesn't seem to be working for me, but usually you can see what's going on with your network here, any processes that are using the network. So if you do have any kind of malware or spyware, it should be recording here that, that application is sending data out or retrieving data from the internet. And so this can kind of help you track some of that and isolate, what's spyware, what's not. Your overview kind of throws everything together. So you have just your basics on percentages, current usage. This updates, I think, about every second and a half or so. And so you can go through and look at each section individually here, or you can just shrink them all down and look at everything combined. Looks like that about covers it for this video, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of everything, and I'll see you in my next video.